Your brain is not designed to make you successful. It's designed to keep you alive. Let that sink in. We walk around every day with this powerful, beautiful, complex thing in our head, but we rarely stop to consider that its number one job is not to help us thrive. Its job is to protect us, to keep us safe, to avoid danger, to minimize risk. That's the default mode. That's the factory setting. So what does that mean? It means that every time you think about stepping out of your comfort zone, your brain hits the brakes. Every time you get an idea that could change your life, your brain throws up a warning sign. You start thinking, what if I fail? What if people judge me? What if this goes horribly wrong? And that isn't weakness. That is biology. That is your mind doing exactly what it's programmed to do. Keep you in the familiar, because the familiar feels safe. Now here's the truth. Greatness never lives in the familiar. Growth never happens in safety. Your dreams, your goals, your full potential, they're not inside the comfort zone. They're out there, past the fear, past the doubt, past the voice in your head that's saying, don't do it. And that's where the real problem begins. Because if you don't understand how your brain works, you'll think that fear means stop. You'll think discomfort means don't. But actually, that fear is a green light. That discomfort is a sign that you're on the edge of something big. We don't talk enough about how much your mind is holding you back. Not because it's broken, but because it's doing its job. But here's the catch. Your brain is a tool. You are not your thoughts. You are not your fear. You are not your habits. You are the person observing those things. And once you understand that, you realize you can interrupt the pattern. You can override the system. You can train your mind for growth instead of survival. So let's get real. If you wake up every day and wait to feel motivated, you're already losing. Motivation is a feeling, and feelings are unreliable. The brain doesn't naturally wake up ready to crush your goals. It wakes up scanning for problems. That's what it evolved to do. You want to unlock your mind's power? You've got to act before you feel ready. You've got to move before the doubt takes over. And that's where the shift happens. Think about this. Every time you override fear with action, you are literally changing your brain. You are forming new neural pathways. You are training it to associate discomfort with growth instead of danger. That's how you take control. That's how you stop being a passenger and start driving the damn car. You've got dreams? Good. Now understand that your brain isn't going to make it easy, but it doesn't have to. The moment you catch that voice saying, this is scary, this might not work, you say back, I hear you, but we're doing it anyway. You teach your brain that the fear doesn't run the show anymore. You do. People think unlocking potential is about some secret sauce or some hidden genius. It's not. It's about understanding the mechanics of your own mind and learning how to work with it, not against it. Because when you know that fear is normal, when you know that doubt is just a reflex, not a rule, you stop getting stuck. You start moving forward, even with the noise in your head. This isn't just mindset, it's neuroscience, and it's the foundation of every breakthrough you're waiting to have. You are not broken. You are not lazy. You are not unmotivated. Your brain is just doing what it was built to do. But now that you know, you can build a new way. You can choose action over hesitation. You can choose progress over perfection. You can choose to stop letting fear make your decisions. And the minute you do, that's the moment you begin to unlock the hidden power inside you. That's the moment you stop surviving and start rising. Because the only thing standing between you and greatness is the signal in your brain that says, stay safe. Your job is to say, not today. Your brain is not a fixed machine. It's not stuck in its current state. It's not too old, too damaged, or too limited to change. And that's not motivational fluff. It's scientific fact. It's called neuroplasticity, and it's the key to unlocking the hidden power inside your mind. Neuroplasticity means your brain is constantly rewiring itself based on what you think, what you feel, what you do, and what you repeat. That means you're not locked into any pattern. You're not defined by your past. You're not doomed by your habits. You can literally change how your brain works on purpose. Most people go their whole lives believing they're either smart or they're not, capable or they're not, disciplined or they're not. But what if I told you those aren't fixed traits? They're learned behaviors that your brain picked up over time through repetition. Just like a muscle builds strength through resistance, your brain builds new patterns through effort. If you've ever thought, this is just the way I am, you've been lied to. That's not the way you are. That's the way you've trained yourself to be without even realizing it. Let's get even more real. The thoughts you repeat become the beliefs you live by. The actions you repeat become the results you get. Every time you choose to speak up instead of stay silent. Every time you move toward your goals instead of away from them. Every time you decide to do something new instead of defaulting to old patterns. You are literally reshaping your brain. You are teaching it that there's a new path now, a new direction, a new normal. The brain is made up of billions of neurons, and every time you think a thought or take an action, those neurons fire. When you repeat that thought or action, those neurons fire again, and the more they fire together, the stronger their connection becomes. That's the scientific way of saying, what you repeat, you strengthen. So if you repeat fear, you get better at being afraid. If you repeat procrastination, you get better at avoiding things. But if you repeat courage, even when it's uncomfortable, especially when it's uncomfortable, you get better at showing up. You get better at change. You get better at becoming the version of you that you know you're meant to be. So no, it's not easy. Change never is. Change never. Your brain wants to take the path of least resistance. It wants to stick to what it knows, even if what it knows is keeping you small. But now that you know how this works, you can take your power back. You can say, okay, this might be uncomfortable, but it's new, and new is how I grow. You stop waiting to feel confident and start practicing being bold, because confidence isn't a trait. It's a result of repeated courage, and repetition rewires the mind. You want greatness? Then you have to train for it. That means intentionally feeding your brain new thoughts, new beliefs, new stories. It means exposing yourself to things that stretch you. It means doing things before you feel ready, because the brain won't believe it's possible until it has proof, and you give it that proof through action. Every small win, every uncomfortable step forward, every time you choose progress over perfection, you're sending your brain a message. This is who I am now. And yes, there will be days when it feels like nothing's working. That's part of the process. Rewiring the brain takes time. It takes patience. It takes repetition. But if you keep showing up, keep leaning in, keep choosing growth, you're building new mental pathways. And once those pathways are strong enough, your brain defaults to progress instead of fear. It defaults to confidence instead of doubt. That's when the magic happens. That's when the transformation becomes real, not just emotionally, but biologically. So no, you're not stuck. You're not limited. You don't need a massive overhaul to change your life. You just need to change one loop at a time, one tiny routine, one small shift. Because over time, those small shifts compound. They stack up. They transform the way your brain operates, the way you feel, the way you show up. So don't underestimate the power of habits. They are the foundation of everything. Your confidence, your energy, your results, they're all built on the back of repeated behavior. The question is, which loops are you running on autopilot and which ones do you need to rewrite? You want to unlock your mind's hidden power? Start with the loops. Start with what you repeat. Because what you do daily is what shapes who you become permanently. And you're never more than one choice away from building a loop that leads to greatness. When most people think about visualization, they think it's just a feel-good practice. They picture elite athletes or motivational speakers telling you to imagine success or see yourself winning. And while that might sound nice, the real power of visualization goes way deeper. It's not about daydreaming. It's about training your brain. Your brain doesn't know the difference between something you vividly imagine and something that actually happens. That's not an inspirational quote. That's neuroscience. And when you pair visualization with action, you create a powerful mental feedback loop that rewires your mind for success. Here's how it works. When you visualize yourself doing something, whether it's giving a speech, running a marathon, or just getting up early to work on your goals, you activate the same neural networks in your brain that fire when you actually do those things. That's why top performers in every field use visualization as a core part of their routine, because it primes the brain. It tells your mind, this is real, this is familiar, we've done this before. So when the real moment comes, your brain isn't panicking or second guessing. It's already been there. It's already been there. It already knows the moves. But there's a critical distinction that most people miss. Visualization without action is fantasy. That's just a daydream, and daydreams don't rewire anything. They feel good in the moment, but they don't create momentum. If you want to actually change your habits, your confidence, your outcomes, you have to link visualization to movement. That's the missing piece. So let's break this down into something you can use. First, you get clear on the result you want, not just the goal, but what it looks like, feels like, sounds like. You visualize yourself waking up energized, crushing that workout, finishing the project, stepping on stage, making the call. You see yourself doing it? Not just winning, but working. You imagine the process, not just the outcome. That part is key. Most people visualize the finish line, but it's the reps, the routines, the uncomfortable moments. That's what you need to rehearse in your mind. Next, you move. You don't wait. You don't analyze or hesitate. You take one small step in the direction of that vision. Maybe it's 5 minutes of writing. Maybe it's putting on your workout clothes. Maybe it's opening your laptop and starting the research. It doesn't matter how small the step is. What matters is that you move. Because the moment you move, you reinforce the message you just sent your brain. This is who I am now. That's where the magic happens. When you consistently visualize and then act, you create a new identity loop. You're not just imagining yourself as the kind of person who follows through. You're proving it. And your brain starts to believe it. That belief builds confidence. That confidence builds momentum, and that momentum builds results. Too many people are waiting to feel motivated. They want the confidence before they take the step. But it works the other way around. You act first, and the confidence follows. You move first, and the motivation shows up. Visualization is the spark, but action is the fire. Let's get even more real. If you're constantly imagining worst-case scenarios, guess what? That's visualization too, and you're doing it all the time. You're just using your mind to create fear instead of courage. That's how powerful your brain is. It will build whatever story you feed it. So start feeding it a better one. Start showing it who you're becoming, not who you've been. This isn't about pretending life is easy or ignoring your fear. It's about understanding that your brain is a tool. And like any tool, it becomes more effective when you use it with intention. You don't need to be perfect. You want to unlock the hidden power of your mind. Then visualize with purpose. Pair it with movement. And repeat over and over, because repetition rewires. And when your brain starts to believe in the future you're building, everything else starts to shift. That's how you train your mind to work for you. That's how you create a mindset built for greatness. Fear is not the enemy. That might sound strange, especially when we're taught to avoid it, push it away, or pretend it's not there. But the truth is, fear isn't a stop sign, it's a signal. And if you learn to read that signal correctly, it becomes one of the most powerful tools for growth that you have. Your fear isn't trying to hurt you, it's trying to protect you. It's a built-in alert system, wired into your brain to keep you safe from harm. But here's where it gets tricky. The same fear response that kept our ancestors alive in dangerous environments is now being triggered by things that aren't actually life-threatening, like speaking up in a meeting, starting a new business, changing careers, or simply putting yourself out there. That feeling in your chest, the sweaty palms, the racing heart, it's not a warning that something bad is going to happen. It's your body's way of saying, pay attention. You're about to do something important. You see, fear shows up when you're on the edge of change. It shows up when you're about to step into something unknown. And that's why it's not a red light. It's a green light. It's a sign that you're entering a space where growth is possible, where new neural pathways are being formed, where potential is waiting to be unlocked. But most people misunderstand fear. They see it as a reason to stop, to back down, to wait until they feel ready. And here's the truth. You will never feel ready. Your brain will always choose certainty over risk. It will always favor safety over discomfort. Not because it wants to sabotage you, but because it's doing what it's designed to do. Protect you from danger, even when the danger is just emotional discomfort. You've got to stop seeing fear as a block and start seeing it as a compass. If something scares you, and it's aligned with your values, your dreams, your vision for yourself. That fear is pointing you in the right direction. It's proof that you're on the edge of expansion. And what happens when you ignore that fear, when you push it down, when you let it make your decisions? You stay stuck, you settle, you shrink to fit the box your brain built for you. But when you lean into the fear, when you take the step anyway, you send a message to your brain that says, "We're doing this. I'm not running anymore." And over time, that changes how your mind responds. The more you face the fear, the less power it has over you. It doesn't disappear entirely, but it becomes manageable. You stop seeing it as something to avoid, and you start seeing it as something to work with. Think about it. Every major breakthrough in your life probably came with a dose of fear. The job you applied for, the person you spoke to, the opportunity you chased, all of those moments were scary. And yet you did them, and you grew. Because courage isn't the absence of fear. It's the decision that something matters more. And you don't build courage by thinking about it. You build it by doing the hard thing over and over again until your brain learns that fear doesn't mean danger. It just means discomfort, and you can handle discomfort. So the next time fear shows up, don't resist it, don't fight it. Pause and ask yourself, what is this fear trying to protect me from? And is that protection actually serving me anymore? 9 times out of 10, the answer is no. Fear is trying to keep you small, but your goals don't live in the small. They live in the bold. And bold doesn't mean reckless. It means deliberate. It means choosing action even when your hands are shaking. It means trusting yourself more than you trust the doubt in your head. You are stronger than you think. You are more capable than you believe. And every time you walk through fear, you collect proof of that. That proof becomes belief. That belief becomes confidence. And that confidence becomes your new baseline. You want to unlock your mind's hidden power? Then stop treating fear like the enemy. Start seeing it for what it really is. A flashing sign that says, this way to growth. The version of you you're trying to become. They're already on the other side of fear. Your job is to show up anyway. Not because the fear is gone, but because you're done letting it hold the keys to your future. Your beliefs are the foundation of everything. They shape how you see yourself, how you interpret the world, and what you think you're capable of. But here's the catch. Most of your beliefs, they weren't consciously chosen. They were absorbed, picked up through childhood, shaped by environment, influenced by other people's opinions, fears, and limitations. And over time, those beliefs became rules you started living by without even questioning them. Rules like, I'm not smart enough, I'll never be successful, people like me don't get ahead, or it's too late for me. And because the brain is always trying to make sense of the world, it looks for evidence to support what you already believe, even if those beliefs are holding you back. That's called confirmation bias. And it's one of the most powerful forces in the mind. If you believe you're not worthy, your brain will filter your experiences to confirm that. You'll notice the rejection, ignore the compliment, remember the failure, and downplay the win. Not because you're weak, but because your mind is just doing what it's wired to do. Protect your version of reality. But here's the thing. Just because a belief feels true doesn't mean it is true. It might just be familiar. And you have the power to question it, to challenge it, to change it. Start with this simple question. Is this belief helping me or hurting me? If it's hurting you, if it's keeping you stuck, small, or scared, then it's time to rewrite it. You don't need permission. You don't need evidence. You need intention. You need to decide right now that you're not going to keep living by a story that was handed to you instead of one you chose. Your beliefs act like the lens through which you see the world. Change the lens and everything changes with it. You start to see possibility where you used to see problems. You start to notice opportunities where you once saw obstacles. But this kind of shift doesn't happen passively. You can't wait for your circumstances to change and hope your beliefs follow. It's the other way around. You shift your beliefs first, and your circumstances begin to catch up. And yes, that's going to feel uncomfortable. Your old beliefs have been around for a long time. They've built routines, stories, maybe even your entire identity. But growth requires disruption. It requires letting go of what you think you know so you can discover what's actually possible. That starts with repetition. The same way you form those limiting beliefs, by hearing or thinking them over and over is the same way you build new, empowering ones. You repeat new thoughts until your brain starts to believe them. Thoughts like, I am capable, I can figure this out, I'm becoming the kind of person who follows through. And you back those thoughts up with small daily actions. You take one step, then another, and every step becomes proof. Proof that your old beliefs don't own you. Proof that your future isn't dictated by your past. Proof that you're the one writing the rules now. It's not about pretending everything is perfect. It's about choosing beliefs that serve you, support you, and stretch you. And yes, you'll still have doubt. You'll still hear the old voice in your head whispering, "Who do you think you are?" That voice doesn't disappear. It just loses its power when you stop giving it attention. You can feel doubt and still move forward. You can feel fear and still show up. You can question your old story and start telling a new one at the same time. Every time you do something that contradicts a limiting belief, whether it's speaking up, taking action, showing up for yourself, you're creating evidence that supports a better narrative. And over time, that narrative becomes your new truth. One that's not based on fear or failure or what someone else told you years ago, but one that's rooted in possibility, resilience, and growth. So if you want to unlock your mind's hidden power, you have to go straight to the source, your beliefs. Because nothing will change out there. Your results, your progress, your life, until you change what's happening in here. Choose to believe in your ability to change. Choose to believe in your ability to rise. And then prove that belief to yourself, one step at a time. That's how you rebuild your mindset. That's how you rewire your life. Most people think that greatness comes from talent, from luck, from some special trait that only a few people are born with. But the truth is, greatness isn't found in some magical moment. It's built in the quiet, repetitive, often boring space of daily discipline. It's built when no one's watching, when no one's cheering, when it would be so easy to quit, but you choose to keep going. And that choice? That's where real power lives. That's where the hidden strength of your mind gets forged into something unstoppable. We live in a world that glorifies big wins. Social media shows the highlight reels, the promotions, the before and after transformations, the shiny end results. But what it doesn't show is the grind. The early mornings, the sacrifices, the 1,000 small decisions made when it would have been easier to stay comfortable. Discipline isn't about being perfect. It's about being consistent. It's about showing up on the days you don't feel like it, because you've made a decision to become someone who follows through. Your brain loves the familiar. It wants comfort. It wants to stay in the zone where nothing feels risky. But greatness doesn't grow in comfort. It grows in the discomfort of repetition. And discipline is the bridge between the life you have now and the life you want. It's the invisible force that separates people who say they want change from the people who create it. Think about this. Every time you push through resistance, even in a small way, you're training your mind to become stronger. When you choose the workout instead of the couch, when you write for 10 minutes instead of scrolling, when you finish the project instead of procrastinating, you're reinforcing a message to yourself. I can trust me, and trust is the foundation of everything. When you trust yourself to follow through, you stop relying on motivation. You stop waiting to feel like it. You just do it, because it's who you are now. Discipline is not something you're born with. It's a skill. And like any skill, it gets sharper with practice. But let's be real, it's not always fun. There are going to be days when the excuses feel louder than your goals. Days when doubt creeps in and says, does this even matter? But that's when you lean into the power of your why. Why did you start? Why does this matter to you? Why are you choosing this version of hard instead of the hard that comes with regret? Your why has to be louder than your excuses. And the only way to keep it loud is by staying connected to your vision, seeing where you're going, even when you're not there yet. That's the fuel for discipline. Not pressure, not guilt, but purpose. Let's talk about how discipline compounds. It doesn't just build stronger habits, it builds a stronger identity. When you show up day after day, your brain starts to redefine who you are. You stop being someone who's trying to get better and start being someone who is better, someone who values progress, someone who keeps promises to themselves, someone who gets things done. And that identity shift, that's what makes everything else easier. Because once your identity aligns with your actions, you stop negotiating with yourself. You stop debating every little decision. You just do the thing because that's who you are. And it's that consistency that unlocks results. Not overnight, not in a week, but over time. Real change always takes longer than we want, but when you build it on a foundation of discipline, it lasts. Now let's be clear. Discipline doesn't mean hustle until you burn out. It's not about grinding every second or pushing through pain to prove something. Discipline also means rest. It means boundaries. It means knowing when to pause, when to recover, when to protect your energy so you can keep showing up. It's not all or nothing. It's about knowing what matters most and aligning your actions with that, even when it's hard. You want to unlock your mind's hidden power? Then master the art of showing up, day after day, whether you feel like it or not, whether you're getting applause or not, whether the progress is obvious or invisible, because every time you choose discipline, you're laying another brick on the path to greatness. And one day when you look back, you'll realize it wasn't a moment of luck that changed everything. It was every tiny, consistent step you took when no one else was watching. Greatness isn't something you wait for. It's something you build, one disciplined decision at a time.